An underrated team in the SEC East is going to be the Missouri Tigers. Eli Drinkwitz has his hands full in that division, but this is a group that I really like. I think that there's some exciting players, and today we're going to take a look at the top 10 players that you need to pay attention to when it comes to the Tigers. Everything starts with the quarterback, and I think Brady Cook showed a lot of exciting things towards the end of last year, or just even in the season in general. Now, maybe not the best production season, over 2,700 yards though, and 14 touchdowns. Also had 585 yards and 6 touchdowns on the ground. I think that's the underrated part of his game. He is a dual threat and the guy that's going to have to command a lot of the attention of defenses. I think that his passing options are limited this year, or maybe just different. But this is someone who I think can be a star for this team. I think that he can be very good and very exciting. It's just a matter of how does he find new chemistry with these new players, some of the returning players that he gets back to, but what can he do to elevate his game even more? Now, the secondary for Missouri is a really fun group, and Daylan CARNELL is one of those guys. You look at 6'2", 218 pounds. We talk about that size that you want at the NFL level. At College Football Network listed him as a second team all SEC selection. 5 passes defended, 3 interceptions. Again, he is someone that is going to command a lot of attention from scouts at the next level. I think that he's really exciting and has a lot of big playability, and he's just one of the guys in this extremely talented secondary that we're going to talk about today. Before we do that, though, we're going to look at the linebackers, and Tyron Hopper had a big year for Missouri. 6'2", 221 pounds. I really like the athleticism that he shows, the ability to get out in space, and did a little bit of everything to help be disruptive for Missouri. You look at 77 tackles, 13 and a half tackles for loss, 4 passes defended, 1 interception. He was getting out and playing really well for this team. And you're looking at someone who can do it once again, because again, this is going to be a talented defense. Now, the defensive line is going to need to step up. I've asked quite a few key pieces. So the guys behind them might have to make bigger plays. But I think when you guys have Tyron Hopper returning, you're looking at a defense that should be just fine. Again, we talk about size when it comes to defensive backs, and Jalen Carlies is one of those guys. 6'3", 219 pounds, guy from Orlando, Florida, who's been a staple in this defense, in this secondary. 3 years worth of experience, many games starting, and you look at the production that he's shown, and it's easy to see why he is one of the more reliable players. 81 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 4 passes defended, 3 interceptions. Another player, one of many in this secondary, that's going to make life easy for Missouri when it comes to defending the pass. Player who should rise up this list really high, but just didn't put it all together last year is wide receiver Luther Burden. I think that he has incredible potential for Missouri, and if they're able to find ways to get him the football even more, I think that he can be the explosive threat that they're hoping he was. Now, as a freshman, obviously he needed to figure some things out, needed to get used to the collegiate level, but we saw some really exciting things from last year. You saw a lot of explosive plays, and you also saw some inconsistent play. But when you're looking at someone who could take a step forward, Luther Burden is definitely at the top of that list. Player who emerged as a reliable rusher was Cody Schrader last year, 746 yards and 9 touchdowns. I think with Nathaniel Pete coming in, a lot of people expected him to take over from Stanford. And while he is still will be a contributor, it was Schrader who actually stepped up the most. And I think that this is a team that needs to find a formidable rushing attack to balance off this offense. And with, again, there's some wide receivers that need to step up when you lose some of the talent that they did. So the passing attack maybe needs a little bit of time, and the rushing attack can help out in that regard. Again, we talk about the secondary and how many players are going to be able to step up and play really well for them, and you're going to need it. And Kris Abrams-Draine is one of those guys that is going to be a valuable contributor, and he saw quite a bit of action last year. 14 passes defended. Teams were not afraid to throw his way, and we saw some mixed results, but I think you're looking at someone who has a future in the NFL. And honestly, you probably want this as a defensive back to be tested this much. And Abrams-Draine is just one of those guys that's going to step up. I know that they have the talent to do it. And you're looking at a secondary that's really, really good. And it's just a matter of who's going to be the star for them. Another player with a ton of experience in the secondary is ENNIS Rakestraw, a guy, again, the production is there. And you saw teams, once again, teams were not afraid to test this secondary. 12 passes defended, 1 interception. It's good. It's a good thing to have this amount of experience because you can see the mistakes, you can also see the success. You're gonna have a ton of film to work on. You have a ton of experience to show, hey, here's what I can do, here's what I can improve upon. And Rakestraw is one of those guys. This is a secondary that's gonna be really exciting, and I'm really interested to see how do they build upon a year in which they showed some success and so showed some really good things, but also showed some signs that they need to improve as well. Coming in from Jackson State is Niles Gaddy, and when you look at what this team lost, you lose Isaiah McGuire to the NFL draft. You also lose another elite player in the transfer portal, and you're losing players that essentially that contributed quite a bit, and you need a presence on the edge. And Niles Gaddy can be that guy. Now you're making that FCS to FBS transition, but he's someone with a ton of talent, and obviously Missouri wouldn't take a chance on him if they didn't think that could happen. Finally, is a player who, again, kind of in that Luther Burden situation where you're waiting for him to take a step forward. Theo Weiss comes in from Oklahoma and had over 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns with the Sooners. You saw the big playability last year, 19.9 yards per catch. I think it's all there. The potential is there, but once again, just like Luther Burden, you have to take that step forward. Brady Cook has a lot of options in his offense. I think that this is an offense that could be really, really good in 2023. It's just a matter of getting there. And I think that the defense has the pieces necessary to be able to get to the point. It's just tough playing in the SEC East, plain and simple. You're not going to find a lot of easy matchups outside of maybe, looking at the non-conference schedule. But this is a team that I think can be a solid team in 2023. The talent is there, the experience is there. It's just a matter of putting it all together, seeing some guys take steps forward, and finding new pieces that can contribute.